Being a hero is great. It's the core concept behind pretty much every video game. The feeling of slaughtering countless minions, bringing down an epic boss, and saving the town, the city, the world. It's always an amazing experience, except there is one problem, isn't there? Being a hero is often a selfless act, and it doesn't pay very well. You know, you got like Peter Parker over here, he's a super genius, saves New York City on like a daily basis, and he can't afford to pay his rent? You're doing something wrong. And that's why in Moonlighter, you're doing all those things, but you're also out here chasing money, because you're not a hero, you're a merchant. So saving the world is great and all, but you're still trying to get paid. The game takes place in a small village that sits ever so closely to a series of dungeons, sprawling and ever-changing, as well as the home to extraordinary riches that brought prosperity to this town via heroes and merchants. But of course, these dungeons aren't exactly the safest place to hang out, and after many died exploring them, the village decided to close them down. And without heroes excavating the treasure, the merchants, well, they can't sell it. You play as Will of Moonlighter, the owner of one of the oldest shops in town. Again, things are tough without anything really interesting to sell, and he's got bills to pay, so one day he basically just wakes up and says, you know what, f*** it. If all these cowards are going to leave fortunes down there to rot because they're too scared, I'll just get it myself. And so your quest begins. So you'll spend the majority of the game in said dungeons. Gameplay-wise, this is very much that classic Legend of Zelda style. You move from room to room, slaying enemies and collecting any loot they drop. The dungeons are randomized to an extent. There are always 3 floors and then a boss room at the end. Each floor has a healing well that you can hop into to regain HP. Keep in mind that these aren't unlimited use though. They'll only give you a set amount of HP points back, maybe good for a full heal, close to 2 full heals even. But then that's it. Once it's out, it's out. So don't think you can just come back and heal up as much as you want. And that's not the only thing that's limited. Your bag space is as well. Again, you're trying to collect as many rare items, artifacts, treasures, and that as possible. But you'll probably have times where you have to pick and choose what to take and what you're going to leave behind. And on top of that, these items can be cursed. I actually really like this mechanic. It kind of reminds me of the old RE4 days, trying to rearrange items in your inventory to fit everything. While these items don't take up more space or anything like that, they can affect other items in your backpack. You could have an item that destroys the item below it, so you'll want to put that at the bottom. But maybe you have a bunch of others that can only go in the bottom row of your bag. Some curses can have benefits, like transforming whatever item is next to the cursed item into a copy of the cursed item once you leave the dungeon. So you could have something really good, then put a trash item next to it, and that trash item will become the good item. There are curses that can send an item from your backpack back to your item box in your house, which is great because if you happen to die while in the dungeon, you will lose everything in your backpack. You can slot some things as personal items that you'll be able to keep, and this doesn't affect the gear you're wearing, armors and weapons and that. But everything in the backpack, if you die, it's gone. You'll acquire trinkets that allow you to teleport out of a dungeon and back to town for a price. For more money, you can have a 2-way portal and also get right back to the spot you left from. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're really stocked up, you might want to consider getting out of there before you lose everything. But of course, there's always the possibility of something even better. Maybe just right into the next room or on the next floor. So that temptation is always there. Once you bring all this stuff back to town, you have to sell it. This is a whole nother aspect of the game. You don't just walk up to some random NPC and just click sell, 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 as in a bunch of other games. You're the merchant here, remember? You have to take everything back to your shop and actually put it up for sale. You have to place the item on your countertops, even set the price you want to sell it for. Once you have some stuff ready to go, you can open up your shop, and people will come in and, well, they'll shop. They'll size up the items you have for sale and react accordingly. If they like the price of something, they'll be happy and buy it. If not, they'll get angry and likely storm off. You want to have happy customers. And watch out for thieves. Some sketchy types may wander in and they'll look for an opening, probably when you're ringing somebody up, and they'll go for a snatch and run, in which case you'll have to catch them before they reach the door or they'll make off with your stuff. I try to keep my more pricey items towards the back for that reason, so there's more room to catch them if they do go for it. There's a lot of strategy going on in running the shop, trust me. And your shop can be upgraded, you can expand, customize, add new elements like a bargain bin. I'd recommend going for the cash register upgrades early. They will incentivize customers to leave you a tip. At the max level, they'll tip you 40% of an item's purchase price, especially when you start selling higher priced goods. That's a ton of extra cash. Besides spending money to upgrade your shop, you'll also spend it to rebuild the town around you, opening up locations for more specialist vendors that you'll need to take advantage of, such as a forge where you can craft better weapons and armor, an enchantress that can craft you potions, enchant your armor and weapons to give them bonus stats. A lot of this stuff is really expensive though. Even the potions feel like investment much of the time, like you don't want to waste them. Obviously, this is to incentivize you to run a successful shop so you can make the money to spend on making yourself stronger and more durable so you can tackle the increasingly difficult dungeons. I really enjoy the gameplay loop of dungeon diving for these items and then selling them. Makes it extremely satisfying when you say slay a major boss, get some extra rare drop, put it up for sale in your shop for an exorbitant price, and finally hear that cha-ching when someone purchases it. Visually, the game is fantastic as well, simpler throwback graphics, but I love the color palette as well as the character designs, and the animations in particular I think need a big shout out. Swinging the sword, you see all the effects in your character's hair, clothes, bag, everything. General motion in this game looks very fluid and modern. A lot of care sure went into all the animation. You may notice some dropping in frame rates every now and then. It isn't too bad, but definitely noticeable, and can screw you over in, say, a frantic boss fight. From my experience, it seems like it could be a memory leak sort of issue, as I feel like restarting the console in the game tends to fix it. The soundtrack is also solid. The shop and town music in particular are nice to listen to, which is great because when you have the store open, you're not really doing much, so it makes the whole thing a little bit more relaxing. Price-wise, I even think they did well on this. The game will set you back $25 here in the States, and if I was pricing it myself, that's about where I'd put it in terms of value, and if you guys follow me, you know I could be a stickler about that, but I would put it right in that $25 to $30 price range, so it's actually on the low end, I think, of what I would charge. So yeah, there isn't much to complain about with this game. I mostly wanted to make sure to highlight it, because I know there are so many big bombs releasing right now on every system that I didn't want the Switch release of this game to get lost in the shuffle. If you enjoy classic Zelda dungeon crawling, but also feel like you should be able to make a little bit of side money off your heroism, then you can't go wrong with Moonlighter. And with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Moonlighter for Nintendo Switch in the comments, and what do you think of the balance of action, combat, and managing your own storefront? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of Moonlighter for Switch. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter, @JohnnyZakari, and join my Discord, Shy Guy and Friends, link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.